Hi everyone, welcome to weekly art practice number 19. It's SLART here, and I've got a new format, so bear with me when I navigate this. So some of you might be listening to this through podcasts or reading it in Substack. What I've decided to do with my weekly art practice is to write a post about it, record a video of myself going through the post rather than reading it. So I find that a bit, when I'm trying to read my own writing out loud, I don't enjoy it basically. Maybe there's something I need to get used to, but anyway. So I'll go through the points in my post and then share that as an audio as well. So if you're here from Substack, you'll see a video at the top of which you can listen to the audio version of that and or read the post. So let's go through the post today. So it's week number 19. Started doing my weekly art practice as a way to reflect on what I'm up to in the art world, what I've been thinking about, planning, what I've been painting, just anything to do with basically being an artist, really. So this week, let's start off with the wonderful artist, Sophie von Hellerman. So I saw this painting in, I think it's 2022. One of the first times I went to the Turner Contemporary in Margate. Such a amazing venue. It's I think it's been around for about 15, 20 years, don't quote me on that. Margate's a seaside town in the UK, and they got, again, don't quote me, but about 10 million, 20 million to build this art gallery on the seafront. It's absolutely beautiful. So I came to this exhibition and I saw this painting by Sophie von Hellerman, and I was just blown away. So ethereal, so simple, so beautiful, so big as well. It's just, I don't know if you can truly see the scale of this. It's got to be about, I haven't measured it, but it's about 8 foot or 10 foot high or something like that. Let's have a look. This one might be better for scale because you can see it from the top balcony. I mean, look at the size of it. You can see someone sat down there. And I saw this piece and I was like, just staring at it for ages. I wasn't so bothered about the other works in there. Sophie had a few others and they're beautiful as well, but this one caught my attention. I was just staring at it for ages and ages, and it inspired me to paint bigger as well. Because we have, I don't know if you can relate to this, we have a kind of weird thing about scale. I say we, but a generalization of artists. If you're used to sketching in a notepad and someone says, oh, why don't you do a big mural? More often than not, you'd say, well, I can't do that. It's too different, it's too big. But as I figured out, I think it was not long after this, I painted my first mural, and had to use a ladder on it. It wasn't ginormous, but it was part of a bigger mural, and it was thinking about how much my reach is. My reach is probably like 8 foot or so. Probably about 12 foot high by 6 foot wide or something. And Sophie inspired me to just embrace that as an artist. And it was scary at first, but I just got into the flow of it and it came together. So yeah, Sophie von Hellerman, check out her work. German-born artist living in Margate. Go to her Instagram and yeah, check out her work and give her a follow if you're on there. So the next piece is, I'm not particularly fond of looking at stats. I do this in my day job and it can get quite interesting, but in terms of promoting my Substack and Instagram, I'm just having a look at the stats on a weekly basis just for a kind of gauge at where I am. I'm not reading too much into it. So if we have a look at this, we've got one paid subscriber that I'm very grateful for. Thank you. So over the past 30 days, had 32 more subscribers. I've had 440 in total, 445 followers on Substack, 98 in the past 30 days. So that's got up quite a bit. And then my 30-day average page views is 1.76k, and that's gone up 8 views versus the previous 30 days. Open rate has gone down slightly, but that's fine. Instagram, yeah, the accounts reached has gone up to 1,221. That's 64% increase. The engagement of the accounts has gone up roughly 20% at 64. Accounts engaged, it doesn't seem much, but I'm just starting again, really. So total followers hasn't gone up at all. So in terms of my studio time this week, I try and get at least a few hours at the studio because I'm working full time. I've got a young daughter and a wife, and those who have kids and families and stuff know how precious time is. So I do try and fit it in, but this week we were quite ill at the beginning of the week and I had to cancel my session. But next week I've got a studio session planned on the Wednesday. So I'll be coming to work early, leaving early, and having a session from 3 to 5:30 in the afternoon. We're starting a new piece towards my next exhibition, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So I've got a couple of exhibitions, and one exhibition and one art fair in the pipeline. So I've set up this exhibition in the process of called Trespasso. So the idea of Trespasso is basically creating a connection with someone through eye contact and silence. So there's no talking, and it's just a beautiful way to connect with someone that we very, very, very rarely do. And it's kind of frowned upon, isn't it? If you wouldn't just sit with a colleague and stare at them and not talk, it would just, our brains would malfunction. We'd think it's ridiculous. But if you set up a context of this and you get people to connect, it's just beautiful. I haven't written about this in the post, but Marina Abramovich did this as an exhibition at MoMA. I think it's 2011, don't quote me again, where she was sat on a table and she invited people to come and stare into her eyes for a long period of time, for as long as they wanted to stare. And that transformed so many people just by having that connection that is even more rare these days. So back to the Trespasso event. For the audio listeners, I'll connect this post so you can see the images that I'm talking about. So I'm creating a series of paintings where it's got two figures staring into each other's eyes, and there's a phrase conjoining them in between, like in a speech bubble, not conjoining them, between them. And yeah, my aim of the series is to try and create awareness of this type of connection, and hopefully it will rub off on the viewer in some way. But of course, people view art however they view it, so that's just my intention, and how it lands is how it lands. So the venue for this event, I've picked a place called the Food Space in Swindon, and it's basically a professional catering kitchen, and they've got an office upstairs in a mezzanine level. Unusual space, but I got the idea from Sketch in London, which is a Michelin star restaurant which has different artists come in and transform the place with their work and their surroundings. So I wanted to almost test this out as a pilot here in this kind of, it's not a public space, it's a business space. So I'll be transforming this and making use of the catering facilities downstairs. For example, let me click on one of these images, which so that's the top level there, and then they've got like professional, every piece of cake equipment you need, ovens, mixers, utensils, whatever you need. Look, play the video of the walkthrough quickly. Kind of spectator space, and then you can look over the edge of this mezzanine and you've got lots of space downstairs and on top of these fridges here to display artwork. I'm working with a guy who does a lot of work with hanging sculptures, and his work is beautiful, Paul Eardley. And I thought it'd be good to have my paintings in conjunction with his hanging artwork. It's going to look amazing once it's all transformed. So yeah, I wanted to have this event to have a bit of a local focus. So we've got local artists, local commercial kitchen space, pickup point as a local restaurant. And I happen to know I didn't realize this guy owned the place, but he was my old manager, Josh West. When I was a teenager, I was working at Polly Tea Rooms, which is quite a big tourist attraction in Marlborough in Wiltshire. And I haven't seen him since then, so it'd be good to catch up with him. And then looking at local beer company Hop Kettle and Tap Brew to see if they can provide the refreshments and stuff. Local DJ Dust, he's done some of my events. Good friend of mine. He seems to be able to create don't want to sound pretentious and say ambiance, but he does. He creates an atmosphere that goes really well with the art exhibition, and it's not distracting or detracting from it. So we're going to get him along. And inside this venue, they've got storage for local ice cream, Ray's ice cream. So I think we get him involved with it as well. So yeah, this is shaping up, getting the dates sorted at some point soon. So it'll be in July or August. And then moving on, got an art fair in Brussels, December this year. Art 3F. Never heard of the not exhibitions, art fair. Never heard of this art fair before, but my curator's job is to find, different and innovative art fairs for their clients to display their work, basically. So this looks really good. It's quite a big one. It'd be nice to have a trip to Brussels as well. And yeah, let's see what happens. I'll just play this video for the video viewers, and you can see this on the show notes. So it's basically going through the exhibition, showing the spaces. It's showing wide open spaces with each exhibitor has like their own square meterage in there. So I think I've got 3 meters by 2 meters or something. And we can set it up how we want. So I need to decide what kind of pieces I'm going to have in there. And really looking forward to that. It looks like a really good venue. So I was supposed to do a affordable art fair, and it kind of that never came around in the end. But from what I've seen from that, it looks like it's got a similar kind of vibe to it. And it's hopefully get some art buyers there, because people usually go to art fairs to buy art rather than a lot of exhibitions. It's not for sale. So let's see how that goes. That won't be until November. No, I put December on there. It's November, actually. End of November. So the next thing I did yesterday, I didn't realize the ChatGPT 4.0 is out, and I was just having a look on my phone on the way home, and I uploaded a piece of artwork, and I asked it to become an art critic of my work. So let's have a look at this video. It's going to be on for 2 minutes 34, and you can hear the audio. For anyone listening on podcast, you can go to the show notes and see this. So I asked ChatGPT, can you describe this painting to me? Pretend you're a top art critic and critique you.
Painting presents a striking visual metaphor for the passage of time and the cycle of life and death, encapsulated within an hourglass structure. At the upper section, a newborn baby emerges, arms outstretched in a pose that suggests both vulnerability and the triumph of birth. The baby's raw, emotional face hints at the visceral entry into existence, accentuated by the blue and teal hues that surround it, perhaps symbolizing the amniotic fluid or the early formative waters of life. The narrow, funneling center of the hourglass serves as a poignant transition, guiding the eye downward to the stark contrast below, a skeletal figure encased within the lower bulb. This section is imbued with darker tones, deep greens and blacks, emphasizing the inevitable decay and finality of death. The presence of a cross and a gravestone reinforces this imagery, grounding the abstract concept of mortality in tangible symbols of burial and remembrance. The painting's vertical composition and elongated form heighten the sense of an unavoidable journey from birth to death. The use of color is particularly effective in conveying the emotional weight of this journey, with the brighter, more vivid colors above gradually giving way to the somber, muted palette below. From a critical perspective, the piece succeeds in its stark, almost brutal honesty about the human condition. The raw emotion of the baby, juxtaposed with the serene finality of the skeleton, invites viewers to reflect on the brevity of life and the inevitability of death. The symbolism is clear yet profound, offering a timeless reminder of the natural cycle that governs all living beings. However, the painting might benefit from a more nuanced approach to the middle transition area. The abruptness of the shift between life and death feels somewhat forced, and a more gradual blending of colors and forms could enhance the representation of life's journey as a continuum rather than a binary state. Additionally, the monochromatic treatment of the lower section, while effective in its starkness, might gain further depth with subtle variations in hue to suggest the complexities and layers of death and what may lie beyond. Overall, this work is a compelling and thought-provoking exploration of life's ephemeral nature, rendered with boldness and clarity. Its haunting imagery lingers in the mind, challenging viewers to confront their own existence and mortality.
Wow, what do you think of that? I was so excited. I shared it on Instagram Substack notes yesterday, saying how it blew me away. But some of the comments were like, "Oh, it's not that great. It's not as good as a human." And I realised that, but the fact that it got the gist of my painting from just uploading an image was pretty cool. I think you'll agree. But yeah, comment on this. Love to hear your thoughts on it. It's yeah, like someone else said, I don't think it's going to replace human art criticism, but it's, as a descriptor, it's really cool. And if you imagine the implications of it for people who are sight impaired, on your website having an audio description of the painting, I know you could write that yourself, but you could program GPT to explain it in a certain way or in your voice if you train it with some of your writing or something. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, the next thing, this was quite an exciting development on Substack. Well, not a development as such, but it was a conversation between Chris Best and Mills Baker on Substack. So Chris Best is CEO, founder, and Mills is head of design. And I have a lot of interaction with Mills on Substack notes, and he's really active on the platform. He's always commenting on people's posts and sharing stuff, and he's seems like a real sound guy. Yeah, and watching his video podcast with Chris, very engaging conversationalist, very intelligent guy, very eloquent. So I just wanted to share it on here because it's not really art related, but it ticks a lot of my AI kind of and spirituality boxes, kind of tech nerd boxes and stuff like that. It's on for just over an hour. I recommend you just check it out. It's a very interesting conversation. And then I think this is the last part. Excuse me. So as a lot of you know, I've got a day job already. I've been working this day job for coming up 8 years, and I can't complain about it. It's really good. But since I picked up art again in 2019 and got my own studio in 2021, I couldn't just have art as a hobby, even though art is technically a hobby in my spare time. But I'm determined to transition into that professionally. But what I was thinking was had the idea to send a message to Chris Best, CEO of Substack, and copy in Mills Baker. This was before that podcast came out yesterday. And yeah, I posted it on Substack notes. You can see it there. I'll just read it out for audio purposes. So, dear Chris Best, CC Mills, Baker, I'd like to propose the creation of a web optimization role at Substack. A/B testing isn't a magic bullet, but it provides real user data which complements UX user testing. My recommended tools are Adobe Target and Adobe Analytics. Target is powerful for simple website manipulation without coding, and for larger projects via JS injection. Adobe Analytics provides real-time data and success metrics. With the experience in my current role, we have strong data-driven test criteria that form the foundation of creating successful tests. I'm also a user of Substack. I've been writing twice weekly about my life and art since July 2023, and it's made being consistent a lot easier for me with the tools you provide. I'd love to be part of the team and improve the site even further. Please find my CV attached. So I put it on a Google Doc on a link. Yours sincerely, Stephen Light, aka SLART. I did this kind of without expectation. I didn't feel any kind of attachment to it, but I was slightly surprised I didn't get a reply, because both of them were quite engaged yesterday and they were replying to stuff. But it's fine. It's fine. It's, yeah, they might see it. And if you feel like restacking it on notes, if you're on Substack, it'll be in the show notes and everything, and in the original post. So that's me for this week. And yeah, please feel free to comment on the original post. If you want to come and see my Substack, it's SLART, SLART.substack.com. And I thank you for joining me in my art practice this week. And I'll see you later.